This
Can you hear me?
conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, you're able to see.
Yeah.
So guys, can you see my screen, and if you can hear me, just let me know. So yeah. So guys, before going to the session, we'll just have an introduction about ourselves, okay?
Yeah.
So this is Mahesh, and I'm a Mulesoft trainer, and I'm having totally 8+ years of experience in this IT industry, and I had successfully completed 200 batches in this Mulesoft, and I'm having 4+ years of experience in this Mulesoft. And guys, can you introduce about yourself, please?
Yeah, myself, Mysuru Reddy. I'm working in KPMG as an ETL and database developer. I have close to 8 years of experience in IT. Yeah, I would like to learn the Mulesoft ESB or ETL side to grow my career in IT side.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. And Puru?
Hey, hi Mahesh. This is Purushottam. My background is integration, and I have 10+ years of experience, and I work for airlines company, and I'm into TIPCO middleware. So just want to extend my integration capabilities, and planning to get into Mule.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. So guys, today we are just going to have an introduction about the MuleSoft, okay? And what is our course agenda for today? What is ESB? Why we are using ESB? Where does Mule ESB comes into play? Core concepts of Mule ESB and a demo. How to develop a basic application using a tool called Anypoint Studio, which is a tool of MuleSoft. So these are the things which we are just going to see in our today's session. And before moving to ESB, I just want you let you know about like how the software architecture is evolved and how it supports the integration platforms. And in integration platforms, why we are choosing ESB, and in ESB why we are moving to the MuleSoft rather than other technologies which are established before the MuleSoft or after the MuleSoft. So this is how we are approaching our sessions, and why we are discussing about all these things, because this MuleSoft, in MuleSoft what we will be doing, we will be just integrating the services and designing the APIs. So here these service-oriented architecture supports the integration platform. That is the reason we are just discussing about all these softwares. So at the starting point, how the software architecture is evolved and how it supports the integration platforms, we'll just see. So where we are just moving to batch process, the batch process had been introduced in 1960s, and the batch process is just used to store the data in the floppy disks or the reels at that part of time. And as you can see here, we are using big systems where we are just moving for the batch process, as you can see in the picture. And where we are just moving for 1970. In 1970, we people are using the client server where we can store the data in the server, and whenever the client needs the data, he can pull the data from the server and he can use it. And where we are moving for 1980, in 1980 we people had introduced the 3-tier architecture. That means in 3-tier we are having 3 layers: presentation layer, application layer, and the data layer. Okay, so here these 3 layers are directly interlinked with each other, and when we are comparing this 3-tier architecture with the entire architecture which had been introduced in 2000, so here we are having a number of layers, more layers when we are comparing with the 3-tier architecture over here in entire architecture. And why we are having more layers in entire architecture? Because in entire architecture we are reducing the dependencies between each and every layer. That is the reason we are having more layers in entire architecture. And why we are reducing the dependencies between each and every layer? What is the reason for it? So let us move for the 3-tier architecture over here. And in 3-tier architecture, let us assume that we had developed an application, okay? And in future, I just want to change that application, like change the UI technology of that application. That means the outlook of that application or anything. As you can see here, in 3-tier architecture, we are having 3 layers: presentation layer, application layer, and the data layer. So if you are changing anything in the like UI technology of our application, so then we just need to deploy it as an application. So we are going to change the application layer over here. So if you make any changes in any one of the layers, since the 3 layers are directly interlinked with each other, it will directly show an impact on the other 2 layers. Since we are just going to deploy it in the application layer, we are making the changes in the application layer, it will directly show an impact on the presentation layer and the data layer. So this is the main drawback of the 3-tier architecture to maintain it. And in order to avoid all these concerns, we are having a concept called, someone had joined in the session. So here, that is the reason when we are moving for entire architecture, we are just reducing the dependencies between each and every layer over here. Yeah, hi Dilip. Dilip, can you hear me? Okay. So here, that is the reason why when we are moving for entire architecture, we are just loosely coupling each and every layer in order to reduce the dependencies between each and every layer over here. And where we are moving for service oriented architecture, okay, which is nothing but SOA. This service oriented architecture supports the integration platforms. And before that, so in service oriented architecture as well, we are having 3 layers: data layer, service layer, and the presentation layer. And when we are comparing with the service oriented architecture with the 3-tier architecture, so in 3-tier we are having presentation layer, application layer, and the data layer. And where we are moving for the service oriented architecture, we are having data layer, service layer, and the presentation layer over here. So here the service layer is replaced by the application layer over here. So what is the main advantage of it? In service oriented architecture, we are not going to deploy anything as an application. We are just going to deploy everything as a service over here. So what is the main advantage of it? So let me take a real-time scenario here as well. Let us assume that we had developed an application using service oriented architecture. Okay. And in future, if I just want to make any of the changes, okay, so if I may if I change my UI technology, that means the outlook of my application. So here, since we are not going to deploy anything as an application, we are going to deploy everything as a service over here. So here, since we are going to deploy everything as a service, it won't show any effect on the data layer and the presentation layer. That means the outlook of our application will be new, but whatever the data and the presentation layer which are persisting under it, so that will be same. So this is the main advantage of the service oriented architecture. And if I want to give a real-time example over here, like whenever we are just moving for Gmail or something, so the background of Gmail or anything will be static in the previous versions. But now we can change our background images and everything, okay? So that will be in according to the individuals. It won't be changing for all the total Gmail, okay? So here now we are just going to deploy everything as a service. That means by using this service oriented architecture. And why we are discussing about all these things over here? Because this service oriented architecture supports the integration platforms. So let me, who is waiting for name? Can you mention your name, please?
Yeah, this is Rajesh. I just got the email from Cloud Foundation regarding the demo
Okay.
session.
Okay, Rajesh. The demo session had been started just now. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, and Dilip, can you hear me as well?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So guys, if you are having any disturbances, if you are unable to catch the pace, so just let me know, okay, so that I can adjust myself. So here we are just moving for point-to-point integration platform. So before moving to knowing about point-to-point integration platform, so why we are discussing about integration, okay, and before knowing about integration, what are APIs? So why we are discussing about this integration and APIs over here? Because in Mulesoft, what we are doing, we will be integrating the services and designing our APIs. So these are the two things we are just doing in our Mulesoft technology. So that is the reason we are just going to discuss about this integration and APIs now. So integration, what is integration? The integration is nothing but the communication between any two APIs, any two softwares, any two humans, any two is known as an integration. And what are APIs? We are just going to define the APIs in three terms. The API is nothing but application programming interface. So in order to explain these APIs, so let me take a real-time scenario here. So I just want to communicate with my friend who is far away from me. So in this scenario, so I am just taking out my mobile and I'm just dialing a call to my friend, and when the call is connected, me and my friend will be communicating with each other. Here me and my friend are acting as a user interfaces, and the mobile is acting as an application. When I am dialing a call, that is called as a programming, and when the call is connected and when me and my friend are communicating with each other, that is called as an interface, or we can call it as an integration. The definition of interface or integration is same, the communication between any two. So if I want to explain the same in another scenario, like I just want to watch a movie in my TV. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to on the switchboard, and when the electricity is passing from the switchboard to the TV and displaying an image as a response, so that we are calling it as an interface. So here in this scenario, the switchboard is acting as an application. When I'm going to on the switch, that is called as a programming. And when I on the switch and the electricity is passing from the switchboard to the TV and displaying an image as a response, that we are calling it as an interface, or we can call it as an integration over here. So why I had explained the APIs in these kinds of scenarios over here, because the APIs are not only in the softwares or hardwares. The APIs are in our we are using the APIs in our daily basis. Okay, that is the reason why I had explained these APIs in these scenarios. So in integration, why we are moving to point-to-point integration platform over here. Okay, and what are the drawbacks of point-to-point integration? So the integration is nothing but the communication between any two APIs. Okay, in order to integrate the services, we are just moving for the point-to-point integration platform over here. First, let us see what we are doing in the point-to-point integration platform and what are the drawbacks we are having in the point-to-point integration platform over here. So here, in order to explain this point-to-point integration platform, let us assume that this has a web application, SAP application, database, mainframe, and the other applications over here. Yeah. So here, let us assume that I just want to transfer the data from web application to the database application over here. Okay, in this scenario, I just want to use a point-to-point integration platform in order to integrate the services and transfer the data from web application to the database application over here. And how we are going to do it in the point-to-point integration platform? By using any of the coding language like Java, Ruby, .NET, Ruby, Agile. By using any of the coding language, we are just going to integrate the services and transfer the data between one application to the another application over here. So let us assume that under the point-to-point integration, we are just using the Java coding in order to integrate the web application to the database application over here in order to transfer the data between them. So here, this web application and database application are directly interlinked with the Java coding. And where we are just moving for other applications. So after some time, the other applications comes into the picture, as you can see over here. So here, the web application is directly connected to the database application and mainframe application in order to transfer the data between them. So In future, if I just want to make any of the changes in the web application, since the web application is directly connected to the database application, the mainframe application over here, it will directly show an impact on the web application over here. So this is the main drawback of the point-to-point integration platform over here. Since the three applications are directly interlinked with each other, if I change anything in my any of the application, so it will directly show an impact on the other two applications, other applications which are directly interlinked with it. And so this is the main drawback of the point-to-point integration platform over here. And if I just want to, sorry, yeah. So if I just want to make any of the changes in my web application, I just need to send the request for the database application people and the mainframe application people and wait for their response, okay, in order to make any of the developments in my web application over here. And the development time is too delayed because we just need to wait for the response of this other application which are directly interlinked with it. And where we are just moving for point-to-point integration. So there are many of the transformation logics required here in this point-to-point integration platform over here. So let me take a real-time scenario over here under this point-to-point integration platform. So let me go for one of the website, okay, ndtv.com over here. I think there is some issue with this Google Chrome or something. Okay, it's working. So as you can see over here, so the ndtv.com website is over here and we are having many categories in the ndtv website. Let me go for the business category. So as you can see over here, in this ndtv profit website, we are getting the live Sensex feedbacks over here, as you can see. So how we are getting these live Sensex feedbacks over here in this ndtv website? So let us assume that, so whatever the data we are getting from the whatever the data it is displayed under the NDTV server, okay, about the Sensex, this data is not available in the NDTV profit server over here. And where this data is available? This data is available in the Bombay Stock Marketing server. So let us assume that, so we are integrating the Bombay Stock Marketing server to the NDTV profit server in order to transfer the data between them. And let us assume that the NDTV profit server is using an old system and it is using the SOAP services in order to integrate the services, and in SOAP services it is using the XML format in order to design the data. We can call the SOAP services through the visitor location. And where we are moving for the Bombay Stock Marketing server, the Bombay Stock Marketing server is using a new system and it is using the RESTful services in order to design the data. In RESTful services, they are using the JSON format in order to design their RESTful services. And we are just going to call the RESTful services by using the HTTP protocol. So let us assume that we are just integrating the services by using the point-to-point integration by using the .NET language over here. So we are integrating the services from the Bombay Stock Marketing server to the NDTV profit server over here in order to transfer the data between them. And here, since these two applications are directly interlinked with each other over here, so there are lots of transformation logics required over here. So while transferring the data from Bombay Stock Marketing server to the NDTV profit server, so we just need to convert it into RESTful services to SOAP services, JSON format to XML format, XML format to JSON. And while we are calling the RESTful services, we are calling it through the HTTP protocol. And while we are calling the SOAP services, we are calling it through the visitor location over here. So these many transformation logics are required over here. under the point-to-point integration in order to maintain it. And these are the drawbacks of point-to-point integration. So what are the drawbacks? So rather than what is our main theme over here? Our main theme is just to transfer the data from one application to the other application over here. But rather than what we are doing, we are just doing a donkey work. We are thinking what will be the impact if I change anything in my application. Okay, and the development time is too delayed. We just need to wait for the other application people response in order to develop anything in our application. And there are many transformation logics required here in this point-to-point integration platform. So rather than concentrating on the main theme, we are just doing the donkey work over here. So this is the logo of the Mulesoft. In a symbolical way, they had chosen donkey as their logo because they don't want to do the donkey work and they just want to concentrate on the main theme, that they just want to transfer the data from one application to the another application without concentrating on the other themes over here. So these are the drawbacks of the point-to-point integration over here. And in order to avoid all these concerns, we are having a concept called ESB, which is nothing but Enterprise Service Bus. So what is the work of the why and why it had been named as a bus? What is the work of the bus? The bus just transports the humans from one location to another location. So exactly in the same way, yeah. So exactly in the same way, the ESB is acting as a middle layer over here, and ESB is able to transfer the data from one application to the another application over here. And as you can see over here in this ESB, in this slide, so all the applications are directly connected to each other and none of the applications are directly connected to each other over here. So as you can see here in the point-to-point integration platform in the previous slide, all the applications are directly connected to each other. But here the ESB is acting as a middle layer over here and all the applications are connected to ESB over here. So here, how ESB is performing all these actions. So let us assume that I just want to transfer the data from SAS based application to the SAP application over here. So how we are going to do it in this ESB? So at the starting point, we are just sending a request from the SAS based application to the ESB, and ESB is sending the request to the ESB to the SAP application. SAP application is sending the response to the ESB, and ESB is sending the response to the SAP application. So this SAP application and the SAS based application doesn't know how they are performing the actions, how they are able to transfer the data between them, and how ESB is performing all these actions. So this we are calling it as a high complexity because these two applications are able to transfer the data between them, but they doesn't know how they are able to transfer the data between them. And what are these other advantages of ESB? So in future, if I develop any of the cloud-based application or any of the other application, I can directly connect it to ESB over here and I can directly transfer the data between mobile application, web application, any of the applications over here which are interlinked with ESB over here. Okay. Yeah. And here, no need to the development time is too fast because if I just want to develop anything in my SAS based application or any of the other applications, so I can develop it since none of the applications are directly interlinked with each other. So it will not show any impact on the other applications over here. We can develop anything in our application. So here predefined adapters will be available in order to transform the data into one format to another format, like Java to JSON, JSON to XML, XML to other string. Okay, so we can transform the data into another format and we will be having the predefined adapters in order to integrate the services over here in this enterprise service bus. So we are calling them as an adapters. So these are the advantages of ESB, which is nothing but enterprise service bus. And in ESB, why we are moving to Mulesoft rather than other technologies. Okay. And guys, up to here, are you having any doubts? Rajesh,
Yeah, no, actually.
yes?
No, Mahesh, I'm clear.
Okay. Yeah guys, if you're having any doubts, just interrupt me there itself and I'll be able to clear your doubts. And
Okay.
here in ESB platforms, I had just taken these platforms as an example platforms over here. So IIB, Camel Case, Dell Boomi, TIPCO, Oracle Sova, WS42, these are the platforms which are established before the Mulesoft. But why Mulesoft is trending nowadays and why all the organizations are moving to the Mulesoft technology nowadays over here? Here, Mulesoft itself provides the API platform. Mulesoft is having Salesforce connectivity and Mulesoft is having hybrid cloud computing over here. Okay, so that means the first point, we are just moving for the first point over here. Mulesoft itself provides the API platform. This is the main reason why we are choosing the Mulesoft technology. Okay, so let us move to the other platforms. Let us assume that the IIB is not providing the API platform for us. So in order to develop an API, we just need an API platform. So in order to develop an API, we just need to purchase the API platform from the third parties, or else we just need to give a contract for the third parties in order to develop the API platform, in order to develop the application in IAB platform. Okay. So this will be costing so much for us. But here the Mulesoft itself provides the API platform for us, and where we are just moving for Mulesoft, we can develop our applications freely in this Mulesoft by using this Anypoint Studio tool. So this is free for lifetime and we can develop the applications in this Anypoint Studio tool. But where the Mulesoft people are charging us? The Mulesoft people are charging us when we are moving to the deployment options. That means after developing our applications, when we are just going to deploy our applications into the Cloud Hub or into our own servers, at that part of time, the Mulesoft people are charging us. So there are four types of deployment options which are available in Mulesoft. The first one is on-premises. Whenever we are just developing our application just for testing purpose, we are just going to deploy our application into on-premises. That means my PC will be acting as my server at that part of time. So further, the Mulesoft people will not be charging anything. And the second deployment option is Cloud Hub. The Mulesoft Anypoint platform is having inbuilt Cloud Hub in it. So yes, the Mulesoft Anypoint platform is having an inbuilt Cloud Hub in it, so we can deploy our application into the Cloud Hub. And the third deployment option is where we can deploy our application into our own servers, like Tomcat, IBM, or any other servers over here, or into our own environments. And the fourth deployment option is where we can deploy our applications into Cloud Hub and transfer it into our own servers for security reasons. So these are the four deployment options which we are having in this Mulesoft, and in our sessions we are just going to see the Cloud Hub and into our own servers. Okay, how to deploy our application into Cloud Hub and into our own servers. So if I want to deploy my application into our own servers, okay, that will be costing so much for us, because so after deploying our application, we are not going to use the Mulesoft people memory, so they will be charging less amount for that. But in order to deploy our application into own servers, they will be charging a bit high, and we just need to purchase the Mulesoft partner program ship in order to deploy the applications into the own servers. So these are the four deployment options which we are having in this Mulesoft. And the second most important reason why all the organizations are choosing Mulesoft is we are having lots of connectors, or we can call it as an adapters in other technologies, just by providing the credentials like username, password, and the security token over here. We can integrate the services and we can connect to any of the applications very easily in this Mulesoft technology. And we are having lots of connectors or adapters when we are comparing with the other technologies over here in this Mulesoft. And these are the reasons why the Mulesoft people are why all the organizations are choosing the Mulesoft technology nowadays. And now the more than 60% of integration platform projects are available in the hands of Mulesoft people. Okay, the organizations like Levi's, okay, and many more organizations are undertaking the architecture of the Mulesoft over here, and they are having a big projects over here, and the Mulesoft is having the bright future of more than 10 years over here. Okay, based on today's market, and Mulesoft is having lots of opportunities for the developers. Since none of the participants are available, like known about this Mulesoft technology nowadays, and since there are lots of projects available on this Mulesoft, so lots of organizations are searching for this Mulesoft technology, Mulesoft employees nowadays over here, and the packages are bit high as well in the market for this Mulesoft technology. And the Mulesoft is having Salesforce connectivity. That is nothing but previously, the Salesforce were the partners of the Mulesoft. In the previous year, March 2000, in the March 2018, the Mulesoft people had purchased the Salesforce people had purchased the Mulesoft organization over here in March, and the Mulesoft, yeah, is having the hybrid cloud computing. That means where we can deploy our applications into our own servers. So these all options. Let us move to the Anypoint platform. Till now, what we have. So here I'm already having an account. I'm just logging to it. So this is the main reason why we are choosing the Mulesoft. We can call it as an Anypoint platform or API platform. So in any of the technology, what we are just going to do, we are just going to design, develop, deploy, manage and govern our applications. So by using this Anypoint platform, by using the design center option, we are just going to design our application, and after designing our application, we are just going to develop our application by using this Anypoint Studio. This Anypoint Studio option, we just need to download into the on-premises and we just need to develop it. And where we are just moving for App Manage Center. Here under the Manage Center, by using the API Manager option, we are just going to deploy our application and apply the policies over here. And by using this Runtime Manager option over here, we are just going to manage and govern our applications over here. Okay. So at the starting point, how we are following the real-time process in the Mulesoft. Okay. So let us move for the first step over here. So in Mulesoft, when the architect discusses about the requirement of the project with the client, okay, here by using the here the architect will design the architecture of the project and he will give the architecture of the project to the developer, and the developer needs to analyze the architecture of the project and he just need to design the project based on the architecture of the project over here by using this design center option. And after that after designing the project, okay, since we are not having any of the connectors here in this design center, so we are just moving for the Anypoint Studio in order to develop our application. So whatever the project we are designed in the design center, we are importing the project to the Anypoint Studio over here in this way, and we are just going to integrate the services. Okay, interlink these designing part and the development part over there, and we are just going to, at the end, after deploying or developing the application in the Anypoint Studio, we are just going to deploy our application into the API manager and apply the policies if possible, and then we are just going to manage and govern our applications by using this runtime manager option over here. This is the real-time process which we will be following in Mulesoft. And as I said for you, the second most important reason is why we are choosing Mulesoft. In Mulesoft, we are having lots of connectors or adapters when we are comparing with the other technologies. And as you can see here, this exchange part will be having lots of connectors or adapters over here. And let me take a real-time scenario here in order to explain it. Guys, here are the two applications which had been developed, Flights 1 and Flights 2. Can you see it? And can you see my name below it, Mahesh Surabi?
Yeah.
Yes. So let me take a real-time scenario, like whoever the user registers in my application, I just want to store the data in the SaaS-based application like Hadoop, Salesforce, SAP or any of the other applications. Okay. So in Anypoint Studio, we are having 130 plus connectors in it in order to integrate the services. If you are not satisfied with the 130 plus connectors over here, so we can search for Hadoop connector over here. The Hadoop connector is available over here. And if you are not SAP, sorry, SAP. So SAP connector is available over here, and Salesforce connectors are available over here. And if I just want to integrate the services with Facebook, the Facebook connector is available over here. So these many connectors are available over here. And how these many thousands of connectors are available in this Mulesoft? Because these connectors are not only developed by the Mulesoft people. As you can see, the Facebook connector is an open source community. That means the Facebook people had developed their own custom connector over here, because since the Mulesoft is growing nowadays, since the Facebook people and other organization people just want to make the easy of access for their clients in order to integrate the applications with them. Okay, that is the reason they are developing their own custom connectors, and the Mulesoft people will be verifying those custom connectors, and we can just integrate the services with them. That means just by providing the credentials like username, password and everything, we can integrate the services over here very easily. And if you are not satisfied with the thousands of connectors which are established over here in this Mulesoft, okay, we can develop our own custom connector in the Anypoint Studio by using Java, Groovy, .NET. So the .NET language is not available, okay, in this Mulesoft. We can develop our custom connectors by using any of the technologies, any of the coding languages. So if I go for this, so the .NET connector is not available in this Anypoint Studio. So this connector executes .NET coding using Java interface. Since this total Anypoint platform, Anypoint Studio, the total Mulesoft is developed under the Java platform over here. So here, if you are using any of the coding language like .NET or any of the other coding languages, internally it will be using the Java interface in order to develop the custom connector or implement the logical implementation over here. So in this way, we can develop our own custom connectors over here. Okay, and guys, are you having any doubts in this exchange part? Rajesh,
Yeah,
Mashura,
actually,
Purushottam, yeah.
hello.
Yes?
Yeah, we means for the is it supporting EDI stuff?
Yes. Yes. Have you seen it? EDI.
Okay, and
Okay,
means
guys, if you want me to search for any of the other connectors, yes. Purushottam, Maisura, Rajesh.
yeah, means
Yeah, Mahesh.
basically
Is
Yeah,
Yeah.
go
this
ahead, please.
are these connectors by default available, or do we need to install anything for specific?
No. By default, they will be available under the Anypoint Platform Exchange part. So if you are not satisfied with the connectors which you are having in the Anypoint Studio, so here there is a search in Exchange option is available. Okay, so we can search in Exchange and we can also install it in the Anypoint Studio from Exchange part.
So the exchange one are the ones which are developed by third party. Yeah?
Yes, not only the third party. This means most of the connectors are developed by the Mulesoft people, and some of the connectors are also developed by the organization people. Like this EDI connector is developed by EDI Fetch Inc. Can you see it?
Yeah,
So they
yeah.
will be having their own names like open source communities, and these connectors are verified by the Mulesoft people again.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Any more doubts, guys?
Yeah, hi Mahesh, this is Mysura. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is the
Maisura.
Java programming is necessary required for this developing
No,
the
actually,
integration?
see,
Okay.
yeah. So here, why you need the Java is, if you know little basics of Java, that is fine. And if you don't know it, no worries with it. Because why we need the Java in this Mulesoft is how it is performing the operations internally, how it is picking the values in the Mule expression language. Okay, how internally everything is working. So we are just going to discuss everything in our session. So no need to worry about this Java coding over here, since whenever we are just moving for real-time projects, okay, since this logical implementation can be implemented in any of the language in Mulesoft, like the client wants to implement it in Ruby, Java, .NET, any of the other language, since a single developer cannot know all these coding languages over here, so there will be a separate scripting person in our organization, okay, in order to develop these custom connectors or implement the logical implementation. And the development part, designing part, admin part, there will be separate roles and responsibilities which are available in this Mulesoft. According to that, you just need to choose your role. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the scripting is a different part, and there will be a separate scripting persons which will be available, because not only in Java we'll be just coding in Groovy, .NET or anything, but much of the logical implementation is not required over here. Since we are already having all these connectors over here, we can just by providing the credentials, we can directly integrate the services. Okay. In
Okay.
rare cases, we will be dealing with the logical implementation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually there are means in the market I'm just checked, there are Dell Boomi and Mulesoft is the ESB tools are growing. So what is the
Yes.
basic difference for in the Dell Boomi and Mulesoft?
Yeah, there is nothing difference between the Dell Boomi and the Mulesoft. When compared to the Dell Boomi, the Mulesoft is having lots of connectors. That is the difference between them. That means in Dell Boomi, we just need to use much of logical implementation, and where we are just moving for Mulesoft, there is no logical implementation, much is required. And we can develop it fastly and freely.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That was the reason more than Dell Boomi, because the Dell Boomi has been established before the Mulesoft. But why the Mulesoft is growing is, this is the reason.
Okay, and there are two versions are going, Mule 3 and Mule 4.
Yeah,
So
we are
is
just
the
moving for the latest version, Mule
yeah.
4.0.
Okay, is it stable in the market, or means are the customers are using it, or Mule 3 is going in the market right
See, Mule 3 is going in the market, Mule 4 is going in the market. Okay, the
now?
50%
Okay,
of users are using and 50% of users are using Mule 4. Okay, because the existing projects, whatever they had developed, those are under 3. You
okay.
know, right?
Okay,
Like, let us assume that, yeah, if any of the project is we had developed on Mule 3, okay, that is on 4 years of project, okay, and
okay.
after 1 year the Mule 4 had been released, so they just need to continue with the Mule 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that way,
Is there any architectural difference from 3.8 to 4?
no, there
Or
is no
it is the
architectural difference, there is a connector difference, there is a studio difference, that's it.
studio? So is it easy to migrate from 3.8 to 4, or again it
Yes,
is a
yes,
totally
it is easy, but you just need to understand the simple logics, okay? In 3 and 4, the connectors are divided into operations, that's it. So in 3, each and every connector is having all the operations, okay? Like there is a database. Under the database connector, everything is available. Okay, like select operation, insert operation and everything. But now if I type the database, each and everything is separated into connector. Each and every operation is separated into connector. Can you see? See? So this is how the differences between them. Yes,
Is
guys, any doubts
Mulesoft
in this exchange? Yeah.
yeah, is Mulesoft integration tool using in data warehouse projects?
Data?
Data warehousing.
Data warehousing. Yes,
Okay.
we can use it.
So,
Hello.
when you are
No?
teaching 4.1, will you be talking about 3.8 and 4.1
The differences,
comparison
yeah. We'll be
differences?
talking about 3.8 and the differences as well.
So you'll be talking about both, is it? Keeping that in mind, 3.8 and
Yes, yes.
4.1.
Yeah, we'll be talking about both of them, because we just need to explain the differences, right?
Hello.
Hello? Yeah,
Yeah,
Rajesh.
actually, who is the preferable person to go for the MuleSoft training actually? Because let's consider my case. I am having previous experience in integration like EDI integration B2B using
See, where we are just moving for the Mulesoft, okay? Even the fresher can learn this easily and they can apply for 2 years of experience. Because many of the participants have been placed under me itself, okay? So
okay,
for first 3 months or first 4 months, they are just taking the supports and then they are just doing their work very easily. Because in MuleSoft, see, if I want to do any of the project, okay, So there is an SAP connector, there is a different connector, there is an EDI connector. First, I just need to go for that website and analyze that for first 3 days, and then I just need to move for that connector. Okay. First, before moving to that connector, I just need to know all those things about those connector and the database, everything. Right? So then it will be easy for me to develop anything. So since everything is a connector over here in this Mulesoft.
Okay. Whether it is
So
having also means it is having file communication also, like we are
yes,
having access server using AS2 protocol. So is it, or a file communication tool we have to purchase
same
different?
file. Okay. And if you want SFTP, secured file transfer protocol. Okay. All these connectors will be available over here.
Is it supporting
He's
AS2
talking
protocol?
about the AS2 protocol.
ASTP or ASP?
No, AS2. A for Apple,
AS2.
S for Sam.
Okay. We just need to search it in the
That
exchange
will
part.
be in EDI, I think. B2B or EDI.
Yeah, it's ADI.
Yeah. If it is an EDI, we just need to search it as an EDI.
No, but it is different. Means it is for the file communication protocol. EDI is
Yes.
the
See
development
up
standard.
here.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to search for any of the other connectors, guys?
No, can we use this Mule 3 to into the Mule 4?
I didn't get it.
Basically, AS2 connector, whatever I'm saying is for Mule 3. Can we
Okay, the
use?
Mule 3 is a different connector and Mule 4 is a different connector. Mule 3 we just need to use in 3 version, Mule 4 we just need to use in 4 version.
Okay.
Yeah. Any doubts, guys? Do you want me to search for any of the other connectors?
No.
No?
No.
So can we go for the other options?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So guys, when we are moving for the design center option, before moving to the design center, let us move to the Google and request it according to any of the term over here. And whenever we are just requesting according to the term, the Google is picking the query parameters in order to request it according to the given parameter over here. And how we are getting this total data as our response? We are getting this total data as our response by using the get method. So the get method is used to get the total data as our response, and the post method is used to get a message as a response, and the query parameters and URI parameters are just used to request it according to the given parameter over here. Okay. So here, so the slash symbol is called as an URI parameter where we can request it, and the question mark is nothing but where we can request it according to the query parameter. And how we are getting this total data based on the requested parameter by using the get method. So without this query parameter and URI parameter, we won't be able to request anything, and without using this get method, post method or any of the method, we won't be able to get any data as our response. That means without these methods, we won't be able to request anything and we won't be able to get anything as our response. And since there is no internet, as we can say. So where these methods are persisting, these methods are persisting under the web services. And how many types of web services are available? There are two types of web services are available. The first one is SOAP service and the second one is RESTful services. And the Mulesoft people had chosen the RESTful services to design their APIs because when compared with the SOAP services, the RESTful services are lightweight, maintainable and scalable. And where we are just going for the SOAP services are heavyweight when compared to the performance levels. And here under the RESTful services also, we are not going to code anything over here. Okay, we are just going to pick everything from the sheet. So we are just going to use this SAML coding, RESTful API modeling language, and 1.0 version in it in order to code it. So as you can see it, whenever we are just going for different spaces, this is called as a design center, this is called as a shield, and the output where it is showing, it is called as an API Git console. And here, as you can see here, enum responses. So whenever we are just moving for the different spaces, different options will be visible for us over here. So based on the requirement of our project, we are just going to pick the options from the sheet. And since these options are based on the spaces, whenever we are going for the different spaces, so different options will be visible for us because this RESTful services, okay, RESTful API modeling language is supported by the YAML internally. The YAML is nothing but yet another modeling language where it will be having the space issues. So they had been configured that whenever we are going for different spaces, different options will be visible for us and we can just pick it. And this is how we can design our APIs in the design center. And after designing it, we can move for the API manager option in order to deploy our applications. So already our applications have been deployed over here. Let me move for the application which had been deployed. And here we can apply the policies just by clicks. Okay, this application had been deployed over here. We can apply any of the policy over here just by clicks, like security policy. Whatever the flights application we are using. Okay, if I just want the sign in option, we can go for basic authentication simple. If I want to go for the if I want to send the OTP after providing the login credentials, I just want to send that OTP one time password for the users. So I can just click it and I can just configure everything over here just by clicks. And we can configure the SLA tiers as well. That means we can configure free account, silver account, paid accounts, okay, all these things over here. And how many requests we just need to the user we are just going to allow for the users in order to send the request in 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, okay, or 1 year. These all things we are just going to configure just by clicks. Just by clicks we are just going to configure over here. And after that, after making any of the policies, okay, modifications, we are just going to redeploy our application over here. And after deploying our application, we are just moving for the runtime manager option. In order to see. So since our application had been deployed, this is the URL where we can access over here. So this dashboard is nothing but since it is taking a lot of time in order to reload it. So the dashboard will show the analytics. Okay, how many users have visited our application. Okay, as you can see here, it is showing the analytics, and insights is nothing but how many transactions were stored and where they were stored, and logs are nothing but where we are just whenever the user is requesting us, whatever the response we are sending them. As you can see here, either we are sending the correct response for the users or failure response for the users, that is logged in the logger. Okay, object stores will be having the keys and the values. Queues, if you are having any queues, that will be available here. Schedules and the settings. Okay, so under the settings, we can upgrade the runtime version, we can regrade the runtime version, we can, since we are using a trial account for the Anypoint platform in order to deploy it into Cloud Hub. Okay, so it is only allowing 1 GB of memory in order to deploy our projects. Properties, insights, logging, static IPs, these are all things we can manage it over here under this runtime manager option over here. So guys, are you having any doubts? This is just an introduction. We are just going in depth in our sessions. Okay. So guys, are you having any doubts in this Anypoint platform over here? Anyone?
Mahesh, can we have cloud integration in Mulesoft also?
Yes.
Yeah, can we implement the cloud integration?
Yes, we can implement. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mahesh, when you talk about security, what you will be teaching in the security?
The securities we will be creating a basic, simple, and basic, simple way. We are just going to provide the sign-in options, okay, for our application, whatever we are created.
Apart from basic,
SLA types like paid and silver accounts, and how the user can register in our account, and how we can apply the policy, and how we can approve the automatic account, and how we can approve the manual account after paying the amount. So those all things I will be showing it for you.
So you will be telling about OAuth also?
OAuth is nothing but we just need to have the code, okay, URL in order to generate the code. Okay.
So you have that? You'll be telling in our session?
Yeah, if you want, I can configure the OAuth services for you, but I cannot guarantee we will be getting an OTP at that point of time because we are not having any of the link over here, right? So in the real time, the client will be providing the link where they will be generating the OTPs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we will be just providing that link in the OAuth services. Okay, that's how we are just going to configure it. And when some of the user clicks on the like login, they will be getting an OTP. That means it will be redirected to that link, and that link will be generating the OTP from the satellite. Okay, then it will be sent to the customer or the participant user, we can say. That is how the OAuth will be working, the security policies. Okay, if you want, I can show it for you. And guys, at the time, at the end of the project, I'll be sharing a real-time project for you, not the total real-time project of the other project designing part, and a different project source code. I'll be sharing it for you just for your reference purpose. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So how about
Okay.
this
And
exception handling, Mahesh?
yeah, all these
What
things will
kind
be
of?
training in our sessions.
Okay.
Okay, the course content will be sent for you by the
Mm-hmm.
concerned persons. Okay, so what we'll be seeing in our sessions is at the starting point, we are not going for the API LED connectivity. We are just starting with the design center, okay, RAML code. So
Mm-hmm.
after designing it and after deploying the project, okay, we are just going for the Anypoint Studio over here. And in Anypoint Studio, how we can develop the basic application over here, how we can generate the flows, transformers, dataweave language, or how we can import the project, whatever we had designed, how we can integrate the services, and after that, how we can deploy it, okay, into the Anypoint Platform Cloud Hub, and how we can apply the policies and how we can get it out work. Okay, and next we are just going for the basics. So while we are just going for the interface, while we are going to import the project from design center to Anypoint Studio and develop, modify it, at that part of time we are just going to say about this API LED connectivity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and after that where we are just moving for the basics. The basics is nothing but how to log a flow, how to debug a flow internally, how it will be working, okay, how to read and write a message, how we are using the Mule expression language, and how it will be picking the values internally, and how to create a variables, and where we are just moving for the structuring Mule application. So how to structure our project in the real time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and how to create the properties, variables, and these three things are in single project. Okay, so where we are just fetching the data from RESTful services, SOAP services, and database, and we are combining these three applications, and we are getting the total data as our response at the same time, handling the exceptions for the same thing, and managing it by using the routers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we are just having, we'll be just having one total session on the dataweave language over here. Additional resources, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be having an as applications, files, resources, JMS process. So we'll be connecting to the Salesforce application, file connector, how we are just going to use the file connector. The whole resource have been deprecated, okay, in this Mule 4. And JMS connector, how we are just going to use the JMS queues, and how we are just going to install the connector from the Anypoint platform exchange part, and how we are
What
just
does
going to
that
use for
mean?
Discord.
Discover and install connectors. It's already there, no connectors. What does that mean?
Yeah, the connectors are there, but we are whatever the connectors we are not having here. Okay, in Mule 3 it is different, Mule 4 is different. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
in Mule 4 we can directly search in Exchange. Then in Mule 3 we just need to install it. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, and here we are just going to see the batch process and what is batch process and everything, and GitHub, how to upload our code to the GitHub repository, how we are just going to share our code in the real time, and what is Maven and what is a build tool, how we are using it. So these all things we are just going to learn in our sessions. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
can we get that syllab means the contents
Yeah,
for course?
the concerned persons will be sharing the course content for you.
Okay.
Yeah. And guys, any doubts in this Anypoint platform?
No, as of now, no.
No.
So when will we start installing Anypoint Studio or any, you will be telling
after
it.
5 sessions. After
Huh?
5 sessions. Okay.
After
After 5
5.
sessions, we are
Okay.
yeah. After 5 sessions. So that also in the session only we are just going to install Anypoint Studio because most of the participants will be facing the issues while installing the Anypoint Studio and everything. Okay. So we will be just going for a sample project at that point of time, and we are as well as you can in the meanwhile while we are explaining you can install it. Okay. If you are facing any issues, just let me know, and I can guide you how to install it properly. So any more doubts, guys?
So how many sessions basically?
Maybe it might be 22 to 24 sessions.
Oh, okay. Okay. So anything specific you are concentrating more on data view or something like that?
Yes, we'll be concentrating on the dataweave language, all these things, okay? Not only on the dataweave language, we'll be mostly concentrating on the concepts because whenever we are just moving for the interviews, so they'll be mostly concentrating on the concepts itself, okay? They'll not be concentrating on other things. Whatever the project you have done previously, if you're having an experience, and what are the concepts you know. So that's what they'll be asking it for you.
So once you're done, is it easy for the certification, the basic certification what we have online, the APA?
Yes. Yes.
Is it chargeable, Mule certification?
Okay,
Yes,
that's
it
fine.
is $250.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'll be giving a certification dump file for you as well at the end. Okay.
Yeah, sure. That is
Only the
four.
questions. Yes, only the questions, not the answers.
Okay. So you don't have answers yourself?
No, I'm having the answers, but that is for sale actually.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
I'm just you got it right.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Mahesh. Okay.
So yeah, and sorry, we are just going to have one more application in order to create it. So guys, this is an Anypoint Studio tool. I am just going to create a sample application over here in this Anypoint Studio tool. Okay, since lots of applications are running on my PC, it is taking some time. Okay, and it came, and I'm just naming it as an sample 9. Finish it. So whenever we are creating any of the projects, okay, the total details of our project will be available on the left hand side in the package explorer, as you can see over here. See, this sample9.xml file is we are calling it as a Mule configuration file where we are just going to develop our applications. And here under the source main resources, we are having log4j, APIs and everything. We are having test main resources. So whenever we are dragging and dropping the HTTP connectors in order to send the request and get the response in the browser. So these jar files are acting as a dependency files, okay, over here internally. And these JRE jar files are acting as a dependency file since this total Anypoint Studio, Anypoint Platform, everything is developed under the Java platform over here. So these jar files are acting as a dependency files in order to execute the project internally. And where we are just moving for next option, Mule Server 4.1.4 to Enterprise Edition over here. So these jar files are acting as a dependency files in order to deploy the project into the on-premises. That means whatever the project we are deploying here in the Anypoint Studio, that will be on-premises. That means my PC will be acting as my server here. Since we are not going to install any of the local server, these jar files will be acting as a dependency files in order to deploy our projects into the on-premises. And POM file, everything we'll be just discussing in our sessions. And here we are having sample. To get started, drag an operational scope in the from the Mule palette over here. So this we are calling it as a canvas where we are just going to drag and drop the connectors and develop our APIs. And this Mule palette is where they will be storing the connectors. So from this Mule palette itself, we will be dragging and dropping the connector scopes and operations into the canvas over here in order to develop our APIs. And in Mulesoft, we are having two perspectives. Presently, we are in the design perspective over here, and in the design perspective is just used to design APIs, and where we are just going for the debug perspective. The debug perspective is just used to check how the flow is working internally, how it is performing the operations. All these things we can check it in the debug perspective over here. And so the console part is just used to check the output of our applications, and where we are just moving for the problems. The problems is just used to show display if our application is having any of the internal issues. And whenever we are dragging and dropping any of the connector, if we double tap on that connector, the total properties of that connector will be displayed here in the Mule properties. So we are just going to drag and drop the HTTP listener connector over here. So what is the scenario which we are picking in order to develop an API? So I just want to, yeah. So I just want to request and get the message as a response in the browser, like an hello world message or sample message in the browser over here. So guys, just a moment. Okay, let me check it after some time. Yeah. So the HTTP listener connector is just used to listen the request and display the response in the browser. So here it is throwing exception in the connector configuration. So we just need to configure the listener configuration. This HTTP listener configuration is just used to listen the request and display the response in the browser with the help of the port number after the execution of our API, whatever we are developing here. And if you want to change the port number, I can change it, but I don't want to change it as per now. And I had configured the HTTP listener configuration over here, and I am just naming the /sample as my end path and using the get method in order to get the total data as our response. The get method is used to get the total data as our response, whatever we are providing in our application. /sample is nothing but in a project we will be having n number of APIs in this way. Okay. But if I just want to request the particular individual API as my response, okay, if I want to request the particular individual API as my response, this sample is acting as my end path over here in order to call the particular individual API whatever we are developing here. And at the next part, we are just going to drag and drop the set payload connector. So whatever the message we are providing in the set payload connector, that we are calling it as our response. Welcome to Mulesoft. And whatever the message we are providing under this Mulesoft, that will be our end response. And I just want to change the format of the message into JSON, whatever the message we had configured. And at the end, we are just going to apply an logger. The logger is just used to log the payload in the console part. So here, before moving to this logger and set payload connector, how they will be working, whatever the graphical interfaces we are creating here, that will be coded in the XML format. As you can see, 8081, welcome to Mulesoft, whatever we had configured, okay, /sample as our endpath, those all things were configured over here. So whatever the graphical interfaces we are developing here, that will be coded in the XML format, and internally they will be scripted in Java format. Like if I change the port number to 8085, and if I go to the graphical interfaces, and if I check it, so 8085 is our port number. If I change it to 8083 and click on OK, and if you go for the configuration XML, 8083 is our port number. That means whatever the graphical interfaces we are designing there, developing there, that will be coded in the XML format, and internally they will be scripted in the Java format, since the total Anypoint Studio is developed under the Java scripting internally. So here, how the payload term had been defined over there, instead of response they had scripted it as a payload. Okay, so the payload is nothing but response, response is nothing but payload, set payload is nothing but set response. Whatever the response we are setting up it in the set payload connector, that will be our end response. And these cache and square brackets are called as a Mule expression language that we will discuss in sessions. And the payload is nothing but the logger is just used to log the messages in the console part. Okay, and how we are just going to log the messages in the console path over here. Yes. Yeah. So the payload is nothing but whenever the user is requesting us, whatever the response we are sending for the users, okay, that means we are sending the payload for the users. Whatever the payload we are sending, welcome to Mulesoft, we are sending it for the users. So either we are sending the correct response for the users or failure response for the users. In order to see all these things, we are just providing the payload in the logger message. So whatever the message we are providing in the logger message, that will be logged in the console part. So let me deploy this project, whatever we have developed here. So whatever the project which is deploying, okay, it is picking all the dependency files about required for this project over here, and whatever the project we are deploying here, that is on premises, that means my PC, my laptop is acting as my server over here. So it will take some time in order to deploy the project since it is resolving the metadata over here.
So Mahesh, you provide some support also, or you have a team who provides support?
Yeah, just a moment.
This conference will now be recorded.
So our project is deployed over here and we can move to the browser in order to check the response. Localhost colon 8083/sample. Okay, welcome to Mulesoft. After deploying the project, okay, if you want to change any of the message in your project, okay, welcome to Mulesoft. First project over here, and under the console part, our project is getting deployed over here. Our application had been started. So let me move here, and since we had changed the response is changed, and after changing the response, okay, and after redeploying the after our project had been redeployed, okay, so how many times we had requested? We had requested for one time and the logger had logged the message for one time. If you are requesting for a couple of times, 3 times. If you are requesting for a couple more times, 5 times. Okay, welcome to Mulesoft first project over here. So the logger is just used to log the message in the console part. In the logger, what we had provided the payload. That means response. Whatever the response we are sending for the users, that is logged here whenever the user is requesting us. Okay. Yeah, Rajesh, Mysura
Yeah,
Reddy,
actually,
and
my question is, Mahesh, whether we have to go for Mule 4 or 3, means that was the.
four, because upcoming projects are all dependent on the 4 itself.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you learn the 4, Mule 3 will also be easy.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mysura Reddy.
Nice.
Any doubts, Purushottam?
Yeah, so far no.
So like yeah, it's fine. Everything you're telling about on-premise cloud. So are you talking anything about containers, deploying it to containers?
No, actually, we are not talking in these sessions about the containers, clusters, and all these things. Okay,
But
so those all will be available under the paid services. Paid services in the sense where we are just going to have